A very good morning and welcome to Good Morning Uganda Extra with me, Sharon Chomdisha. I hope you had a lovely weekend. I hope you're able to do so much and even spend time with your loved ones, because unity, creating relationships and bonding is such a beautiful antidote to stress and so many other things to every human being. It is the 7th of November 2022 and welcome to a beautiful week. Today is Monday. I hope you also geared up for you're geared up to do different things and for you to be able to do things, execute, and be able to have results from whatever you put your hands to. I hope you're having a great morning. And yes, today with me in studio is Dr. Musinguzi James, who happens to be the ED of UWEC, Uganda Wildlife Education Center. Now, originally founded in the 1950s, UWEC was created to accommodate confiscated injured animals and to look after orphan animals confiscated from smugglers. The center has also grown considerably in recent years. Now, many say it is a destiny and it is destined to become the most important facility to showcase wildlife on the African continent. And like we know, Uganda is called the Pearl of Africa, and yes, we have everything that it takes for us to actually become or have the to have this center beautiful and want to showcase wildlife on the African continent as the best. Now, on the 2nd of December 2022, UWEC is celebrating 70 years, and the preceding activities are like conservation education conference, an open day at the zoo, among others. And we're here to talk about that journey. We started off like that. It was a zoo at a certain point, and now a Uganda Wildlife Education Center. And why is it even worth celebrating 70 years? A very good morning, Dr. Musinguzi.
Good morning, Sharon. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much for making time.
You're welcome. Good morning to you as well as our viewers out there.
Yes. UWEC, we're talking about UWEC, started in the 1950s to cater for smuggled animals and the injured ones, was once a zoo and now an education center. Take us through, give us a little history.
Thank you very much, Sharon. First of all, I want to thank UBC for this great opportunity to appear and be able to abreast the country about what's going on. The Uganda Wildlife Conservation Education Center, now as it is known, started as an animal orphanage, like you rightly put it actually, in 1952 by the colonial government, where they would get animals that had been confiscated or found abandoned and would be brought to the orphanage in Entebbe. And in the 60s, it transitioned into a traditional zoo where you would have animals, including those not indigenous in Uganda. The tigers, the bears would be there in the zoo in Entebbe, where you would go and see more about these animals. Now, definitely, like everybody knows Uganda's history, we went through turmoil. And this went on until 1994, where the zoo was then now transformed into the Uganda Wildlife Education Center with a board of trustees, with a proper management plan as well as master plan. This was aided, it was aided by the support from the Wildlife Conservation Society today, which was the New York Zoological Society then. And the purpose was to educate Ugandans and non-Ugandans about the value of conserving biodiversity in the country. As we talk, our tourism sector is largely wildlife-based. Our resources, natural resources, our factories, our economy is largely based on natural resources. So government felt it wise that there was need to put in place an institution that would carry out conservation education with special emphasis on the young generation, so that we can be able to conserve biodiversity, we can conserve the natural resources upon which our economy depends. So government in 1994, working with the New York Zoological Society, established this center with a self-appointing board, which did a very good job until 2017. So having realized the great job that this body did, government decided that actually the institution should be transformed into a statutory body with an act of parliament. So a bill was tabled in parliament it was passed, and eventually His Excellency the President assented to it, and it became an act of Parliament, establishing the Uganda Wildlife Conservation Education Center in 2017 with a 7-member board that is appointed by the Minister from the various constituencies that are supporting the work of the center. So the board is carrying out its role very well. So the center has basically been transformed from an orphanage to Entebbe Zoo, to Uganda Wildlife Education Center in '94, and now to the Uganda Wildlife Conservation Education Center in 2017. But of course the tagline remains Entebbe Zoo, because that is the popular name that everybody knows. So in our work, we normally say Uganda Wildlife Conservation Education Center, in bracket, or popularly known as Entebbe Zoo, as a way of bringing back the memories, but also bring to speed everybody that knows this institution. So that has been the journey. 1952, orphanage. In the 60s, it became a zoo. In 1994, the Uganda Wildlife Education Center. And then 2017, it became the Uganda Wildlife Conservation Education Center with mandates such as conservation education. Here we look at environmental education as well as education for sustainable development. Environmental education as well as education for sustainable development is done at the center in Entebbe, but also we have a robust outreach education program. We go to schools, we go to communities, especially those communities around the national parks, and we carry out conservation education with a view of changing the mindset, the attitude and behavior in the long run of the various Ugandans and non-Ugandans. We educate them to change their conservation mind as well as their action and behavior.
What do you mean the conservation mind as well as their action and behavior? What's the mindset down the
The mindset at the moment, especially the attitude and mindset, is that conservation, natural resource conservation or wildlife conservation or environmental conservation is government business. Many people think when you talk about animals, oh, that is UWEC or UA business and government business. When you talk about the environment, they'll quickly tell you, oh, that is NEMA. But we want to let people know that they have a role to play in conserving the environment, including the biodiversity they are in, including the wildlife they are in. And so this is the message we are taking to all those people who come to the zoo in Entebbe, but also where we go into the communities, because we want positive collective conservation action. The little actions that you can do can change this country in terms of promoting our animals, in terms of promoting the environment, in terms of averting the effects of climate change. I'll give you simple examples. You can be driving on the road and somebody's in a big SUV and they are throwing out Kavera.
Why in a big SUV?
Yes.
The irony of such a big car.
Yes, yes. Why don't we have a dustbin in the car where we can dispose this and we reach somewhere and dispose properly outside the car? So these are the little actions we are asking. We are saying, can you plant a tree of indigenous nature, either a fruit tree or a medicinal plant tree or a shade tree during your birthday, during the birthday or your marriage ceremony? Can you regreen your backyard garden so that you can generate more oxygen, you can reduce the greenhouse gases? So through those small actions, you are contributing to a clean environment, you are averting the effects of climate change, you are creating more oxygen in the atmosphere and removing carbon dioxide through the process of photosynthesis. So it is basically education to change people's mindset, behavior, and in the long run, action. We want positive self-conservation action at the individual level, so that in the long run, we can create a multiplier effect.
What was the essence of it moving from a zoo to a conservation center, then to an education conservation center? What was the essence of that?
Thank you very much. A zoo is traditionally known as a place where people just go and see animals, where they'll tell you that is a lion, that's a giraffe, and then you go away. We go beyond that. In addition to showing you these animals, we educate you more about them. What they feed, what's their ecology, what's their behavior, what are their threats in the wild, what can you contribute to their longevity at an individual level. So a conservation education center does more than just showcasing animals. We carry out research research on animal behavior, research on zoonotic diseases, the diseases that are transmissible from humans to animals as well as animals to humans. We are promoting the One Health approach where the environment is intertwined with the health of wild animals, domestic animals, and the human beings. We need each other in the ecosystem. How do we make sure we have a balance between conservation and development? We need to balance because we need development, but we have a growing population, you have a stagnant land area. So how do we make sure we have an interplay of all these taking place, yet we are doing it sustainably, in mind that we have a future generation that must enjoy the same resources. So it was changed to education center to do more than just showcasing animals. For example, we carry out research on various areas. We have done a research policy. We have put our research areas on our website. Anybody in the world can come and do research with us. We also carry out rescue, rehabilitation, and release of wildlife. We have challenges of human-wildlife conflicts in the communities. We have challenges of wildlife trafficking. So we confiscate animals from wildlife trafficking. We rescue animals from incidences of human-wildlife conflict and bring them to UWEC, the zoo in Entebbe, rehabilitate them, and eventually, if they can fit to survive on their own, we introduce them back into the wild. I can tell you, Sharon, that we have so far rescued over 1,000 animals and are able to rehabilitate them. We've taken back some in the wild. Those which we feel cannot cope after an assessment and analysis are retained at the zoo in Entebbe.
Animals need rehabilitation?
Yes, they do. We have we have a rehabilitation hospital.
For animals? For
animals, with wards, with a theater. You know, it's amazing that these things are here, but some Ugandans don't know. And I'm glad that UBC has given its opportunity to come and tell Ugandans to come and see and learn and enjoy their country about these, about what we're offering. So we also carry out captive breeding of endangered wildlife species. We need insurance population of wildlife. If we have a challenge in the wild now, we are sure that we can be able to multiply. We've been lucky and successful in breeding species like lions, and right now we are in talks with the Uganda Wildlife Authority to make sure we reintroduce some of these lions back into the wild. We have a low population of lions, about 450 in the country, and the dream of each and every tourist is to see this big cat in the wild. So having successfully bred them, we would like to take them into the wild. So we do all these things. We do internship for students. We train Ugandans in internships, volunteer opportunities that gives Ugandans an opportunity to get hands-on experience and skills for them to be employed in the hospitality sector. So it's not just a zoo, but rather an education center that goes beyond and offers other services that can be able to contribute to the economic growth of our country.
How many species of animals do you have?
Thank you very much, Sharon. We have, at the moment, we have 70 species of animals, and we have about 350 individual animals. We have these animals mainly rescued, but some of them are a result of successful birth. Recently we had a successful birth of lions. You could have also read that we had a successful birth of giraffes and many other species. We also recently received a baby elephant that was found abandoned in Queen Elizabeth National Park. And so when we receive such an animal, we become the mother. We feed this animal on SMA gold milk that will give that animal the ingredients that the breast milk would have given that baby. So
and that is all from the research you've been making to make sure that you give the animals the right...
Yes, okay. The research and even having the same or the right concoction of the formula. We have studied and benchmarked in other areas, and so we are now also growing this area in the country, because at first people thought that the animals would rescue like elephants, would hand them over to Kenya, but we said no, we must build capacity here as well, because the challenges are continuing of human-wildlife conflict, of wildlife trafficking, of poaching. So once these animals are found entangled in those challenges, we rescue them. We must have the capacity to deal with them and eventually take them back into the world, thereby growing the numbers, but also promoting domestic tourism as well as international tourism, because at the moment, Entebbe Zoo is the highest receiver of domestic tourists in the country, because it it is near, it is accessible. But also I need to inform you that we have rebranded. When it becomes the Uganda Wildlife Conservation Education Center, we made sure we rebranded. When we rebranded, we not only rebranded the name, but also the setup. We rebranded the exhibits where the exhibits are where we keep the animals. We have branded them and placed them representing the various national parks of the country. So the center is now acting as a marketing tool for the national parks in the country. We want somebody who comes to the zoo to be able to form an impression of what is in the national parks, so that you can even make a choice and say, oh, so I'm at UWEC in Queen Elizabeth National Park exhibit. So these are the animals and plants that I'll find in Queen Elizabeth. Oh, I'm at Lake Mburo, I'm at Ibudongo. So you are able to actually go beyond. So we want those who come to the zoo to also go and visit the national parks, because at the end of the day, we want to rally Ugandans to contribute to the domestication or to domestic tourism that in the long run should contribute to the economic growth of our country. You remember during COVID-19, I am glad Ugandans really took this up. They really visited and they boosted our standing during that time. And so the rate of domestic tourism is growing. And I urge Ugandans, let's continue so that we can contribute to Uganda's economic growth through tourism promotion. By the time the outsiders come, we should be experts to tell them about what we have, because you cannot sell what you don't know.
What do the statistics look like for Ugandans? Because like you said, are Ugandans actually responsive to domestic tourism? Yes,
thank you. Yes, it is. The trend is on the trend is on an upward trajectory, for which we are grateful. For example, before COVID-19, we were receiving 387,000 visitors.
Are those schools? Because, you know, for schools, it's like one of those things where I think there's no school that doesn't organize for trips to the zoo. I think the last time I was actually at the zoo was in my P7. That's 2007.
Can you imagine?
So I need to actually take a trip.
You need to come back.
Yes, and because I'm sure so many things have changed. But schools usually organize for trips.
Yes.
So, but then like normal Ugandans or families coming, you know, apart from those well-organized trips, is the response really like one that you're thinking, actually Ugandans are catching up with understanding and studying what the environment looks like and appreciating that actually Uganda is the Pearl of Africa?
That's absolutely true. People have started understanding and appreciating the truth that actually Uganda is the Pearl of Africa, as described by Sir Winston Churchill. Sharon, I've been to all the continents in the world, you know, whether Asia or Europe or Australia, but to me Uganda is the best. Where it rains and shines in the next 1 hour, where you are astride the equator. In some of those places they are crying for sunshine. But here it's automatic, and sometimes when you have something you may not value it until you lose it. But I am glad that Ugandans, especially Ugandans, middle-aged Ugandans, have started actually appreciating Uganda, and they are visiting. They are visiting the zoo in Entebbe, they are visiting national parks, and this has been as a result of the improvements in these areas in terms of customer care and customer service, in terms of accommodation facilities. I want to tell you that national parks now have got accommodation facilities which are affordable. We also have accommodation at the zoo which is affordable. We have cottages, we have apartments, we have camping ground where you can camp, we have hostels if you would like to come as a group for team building, for a meeting. We have meeting rooms and facilities. We have the longest beach line in Entebbe. We have the best food in terms of the best restaurant. We have the best children play area, because we have done research and discovered that before a Ugandan travels, there are some things they have to tick off. One is security, safety and security. They would like to feel that they are going to be secure in their environment. 2, food. Am I going to be able to have good food? What about the recreation? Am I going to be able to have good chilled wine, a good beer, you know? So we've been able to look at the needs of this Ugandan, average Ugandan who is visiting, and we've catered for those needs. Even if they are traveling as a family, they are going to have the best student play area. As they eat their food, as they sip their wine, the child is playing. They are enjoying each other as a family. So you can choose to come on a Friday and go back on a Monday, because you have the beach, and I'm talking about a conservation beach where you're not going to find people in bikinis. No, we have limits. So you're going to come with your family and you're going to be comfortable that my toddler is going to be happy at the beach. I'm going to be happy with my toddler at the beach. So you have the best beach, you have the best children play area, you have the cottages, apartments, so you can choose to come on a Friday, sleep over until when you leave, when you are refreshed.
Wow.
And yet you are in a very safe environment, because when we talk about accommodation in the zoo, there is always mixed feelings. Am I going to be safe? You're very safe, because safety and security is #1 on our priority list. Maybe I also need to inform you that the zoo now, or the center in Entebbe, is a member of the World Association of Zoos and Aquariums. And that's highly prestigious, because you are just admitted through invitation. You don't apply. They come and look at what you're doing and the standards you are applying, and then they feel you're fit. So you are admitted. The auditors from the World Zoo Association. But we are also members of the Pan-African Association of Zoos and Aquariums. And at the moment, I'm the chairman of all zoos and aquariums in Africa through this Pan-African Zoo Association. When they audited us, they actually found that your zoo in Entebbe, Entebbe Zoo, is the best zoo in East, West, and Central Africa.
Wow.
But when you tell some Ugandans, they don't want to believe.
How big is the land?
Yeah, we are seated on 72 acres with all these amenities, animal exhibits. You have accommodation, you have these play areas, and we have done trails where you can drive through and enjoy. In a way of promoting competitiveness, we are now acquiring golf carts, where those who don't want to walk can actually drive themselves as family. We are also acquiring a game track where people are going to be driven through with a guide on top. So you can choose now. We are creating options. You can choose to walk through. You can choose to use a golf cart. You can choose to go on a tour track, so that we can create options for people to enjoy themselves. When a tourist comes, he does not want inconvenience. They want to enjoy themselves, because it's about an experience. So we are creating various experiences for people to be able to enjoy, so that they can promote tourism. We can promote our own in the country, starting with the nearest, which is Entebbe Zoo, and then after appreciating the ecosystems, after appreciating what we've replicated that's in the wild, then you are able to go into the wild, because we have recreated the ecosystems of Uganda at the zoo. We have the savanna ecosystem, we have the wetland ecosystem, we have the mountain, we have the lake there, we have a 1 kilometer forest walk where you can walk with free-ranging animals, enjoying yourself in the forest. We have these exhibits and the ecosystems I've talked about, which have been created, and the animals that are in those ecosystems are the ones that are there. So it's a great experience. You are enjoying yourself, you are learning, but also sharing experiences, because it's about experience, it's about your country. So I want to urge people to come and visit the center, because it has been rebranded, it has been recreated. It's no longer the other zoo where people thought it is having dilapidated structures. No. I want to thank the government of Uganda, because a lot has been done in terms of revamping the infrastructure.
What's the greatest achievement your work has achieved and is worth celebrating when it comes to 70 years?
Thank you very much. We are proud to be the best zoo in East, West, and Central Africa.
Yes.
That does not come easily. People come and look at your systems, your staffing. We have highly competent staff. We have built a very strong team that I want to thank, because you cannot achieve alone. The team is highly professional, highly technical, and they love what they are doing. Our work is about passion, Sharon. It's not about this amount of salary you're getting, no. It's about passion. You can imagine somebody having chicken and cannot feed on it at home, but has to give it to a lion, has to give it to a python. Meat. We have lions. Each lion takes 8 kilograms of meat per day. So you can imagine how much meat is in our food store. But staff cannot walk away with this meat. They are serving it to these animals. So the achievement is about being the best in the region as a result of highly competent staff, as a result of a great team that we have built. But also we have demystified some euphorias like gender mainstreaming. At the moment, we have ladies who are looking after cats, who are looking after lions, who are driving tractors. So some of these used to be myths, but you find, for example, the head of our cat section where you have tigers, lions, you know, hyenas is a female, you know. So we feel that we have contributed to skilling, capacity development, tourism promotion in the country, as well as conservation in the country. And so we feel that it is worth celebrating the journey that we have been, because we want to take stock of where we've come from, where we are, and where we are going as we look into the future.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Msinguzi. I think we'll take a short commercial break on that note. I remember last year when I am an anchor, and one of the stories actually was about how, you know, meat, I think, and food had become scarce and a problem for the zoo. Some of the issues that you faced because of COVID-19. So after the short commercial break, we'll be talking about that, but also still going about the journey of celebrating 70 years. Is it really worthwhile? We'll take a short break and we'll be back.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra. Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here. In the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking to the taste of food that takes you on a journey. In the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours.
Tales of Kasozi, brought to you by Uganda Communications Commission.
Hello?
Hello?
This is Kasozi. How can I help you?
Hey, Kasozi, my brother. Long time. We last met when we were at campus. It's been a while, but you are the person I'm looking for.
Campus? Really?
Hey, you don't remember me?
Okay, so how can I help you?
I'm stuck in Gulu making millions, and I need to urgently send money to my sick mother. But I can't find any mobile money agent near me. I've sent the money to your phone, as you can see the message. It might take a few minutes to come through, but I urgently need you to send the money to my mother. Let me send you her number, and you send it to her chap.
My friend, I'm afraid your mom is going to die.
What?
Because I don't know you, I never went to campus, and I'm also in Gulu. So can we meet at CPS, we talk about it?
Stay tuned for what Kasozi does next.
Tofera. Refrain from unnecessary engagement with strangers over the phone. This message is powered by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
You're still watching Good Morning Uganda Extra with me, Sharon Chomdisha, and Dr. James Musinguzi, the ED of UWEC, which is celebrating 70 years on the 2nd of December 2022. Mr. Musinguzi, we're still talking about achievements, and you hinted on something, your staff.
Yes.
You know, that there's now like a diversity. It's not just men who are into this job, but women. Please elaborate more about that.
The staff are the greatest asset that you can have in order for you to be able to succeed. The human resource is critical. And so we've been fortunate, having joined the World Association of Zoos and Aquariums, as well as the Pan-African Association of Zoos and Aquariums, we've been able to expose our staff. We've sent them to zoos in North America and Europe, as well as South Africa, because in the region, there is no other place you can expose them. We are the only zoo here. And so if you had to follow international zoo practices, you need to benchmark and send your staff abroad. And we've been lucky that we've been able to work in partnership with these other zoos abroad, and they have helped us in terms of capacity building, especially animal welfare. When I tell you about our work being about passion, it's about animal welfare. How do we achieve the best welfare for the animals? Because when you come to visit, you want to find a happy animal. You want to find an animal that is happy, that is within an environment that is not manipulated, but rather mimicking what is happening in the wild. So the staff have been tremendous. They have done tremendously well. And I want to thank them because we've moved the journey together. And coupled with that, they have been very, very supportive in terms of innovations, bringing on board innovations, because for us what we have done in terms of leadership, we have let people innovate, bring your innovation on board, bring your ideas on board, and we shall let you be in terms of practicing those ideas. And that has tremendously brought out so many ideas in waste management, climate change. People have developed conservation education guidebooks for schools, teachers' guidebooks that are helping schools to link practical and theory conservation education. There has been a lot in terms of animal management, a lot of research at the staff level. Very soon we are going to be publishing research that we have done. We've been able to succeed in breeding areas. So when you let staff be, when you let them innovate, they really come out well, and I'm glad about that. Coupled with that, there has been a lot of improvement in sustainability. I want to tell you that our budget has grown over the years from about 2 billion to now 12 billion shillings.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks to the government of Uganda and the friends of UEC that are helping us in this regard. We've been able to grow our asset base from about 50 billion to now 120 billion shillings. That is our asset base at the moment when you look at what we have. So the growth in visitation has also been tremendous. We were at about over 300, like I said, before COVID-19. But as per the end of last financial year, we are rebounding. We are 690,000 visitors, so we are coming back. And all of this is definitely contributing to the sustainability of the center, and that is key, because at the end of the day, we want a center that is able to sustain itself in terms of financing, in terms of staff motivation, training of staff, the aesthetics of the place. You must keep it clean and appealing, because if you are to promote repeat visits, there must be something appealing to make me come back. And so we do a lot in that area. But we have also diversified our products. At the moment, we are the only facility with tigers in East, Western, Central Africa here. They are only here in Entebbe. And I want to call Ugandans, come and learn about tigers. We realized that tigers are in the syllabus. Our children were being taught about tigers, but they were confusing tigers with cheetahs and lions. So we decided, in order to complete the cat education, we bring on board the tiger. The tiger is the strongest and toughest cat that exists in the world, and they are only in Entebbe Zoo at the moment in the whole region. We've brought those on board. We've also had support from government to improve our infrastructure. We now have the best facilities in terms of exhibits. When you look at our elephant exhibit, the tiger exhibit, the reptile house, the hospital, the only wildlife hospital in the country, is now one of the best in the region with high technological equipment. We've got highly trained staff, veterinary doctors, educators, highly competent. And so we are very happy that we are there in terms of the service provision, security and safety. We have automated, we are now automating our entrance and online booking. You're going to be able to book from Kotido or Moroto without having to come to the zoo, so that you just come with your card, you swipe and go in. We've also been able to work a lot in terms of going online. During COVID-19, we were doing virtual tours of the zoo, and it worked well because we kept our audience with us. So the automation is also helping us in terms of the payments. We want to go cashless payments, and this project is about to be completed, so that you can be able to use your MasterCard, your Visa, or mobile money to pay without having to transact using cash. Also, the competitiveness is improving the mobility within the center. We have also catered for the Children Wildlife Discovery Center. As you may know, our population in Uganda today 70% of the population is below 30. And so our major focus is on the young generation. These young people who are highly energetic and are supposed to be very productive, we think that once we use them as a pathway to create awareness about environmental conservation, then there can be a multiplier effect. So we are now designing programs for the young people to be able to carry out conservation education in the various areas. Climate change education program, the One Health approach program that I talked about, the lion conservation education program, the giraffe conservation education program. What are the threats that these animals are facing? What can we do about young people, about this? We can start projects to remove snares in the wild. So we are writing and working with young people in order to be able to promote conservation education in a practical way. We are also working hard with the National Curriculum Development Center to make sure that there is practical conservation education offered in schools. These are the teacher guides and conservation booklets that I've been telling you about that we have developed that are going to support our children to learn about conservation in a practical way as opposed to only reading theoretically in the book. So yes, we've gone strides. I want to invite Ugandans to join us as we celebrate 70 years. We have quite a number of activities that are involved as we celebrate 70 years. We have got a conservation education conference that is coming up this month. We also have the open day, which is going to be free entrance at the zoo on the 25th of November. I invite all of you Ugandans, come for the open day. There's going to be an exhibition. You can come and exhibit and showcase your products and services. We also have a veterinary camp. We are going to vaccinate all the dogs and cats that will be brought to us in Entebbe from the 10th to the 13th of this month, starting on Wednesday. At the Mayor's Garden in Entebbe, we are going to vaccinate cats and dogs as a way of giving back to our communities, because people have supported us, government has supported us, so it's time for us to give back. So join us, and on the 2nd of December, we shall have the gala dinner that will crown and climax all the activities that we shall have had in celebration of the 70 years. So it is time to celebrate. Our chief guest is going to be the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Nabanja, who is going to preside over the gala dinner. She will also launch the various products and new products, but also the new infrastructure that has been put in place as I've elaborated it, new exhibits, new children education center. You have various infrastructure that we have put in place and are going to be launched on that day as part of these celebrations. So please join us as we celebrate the illustrious journey. We are taking stock of where we've come from, where we are, and where we are going. And as we go into the future, there are quite some plans, Sharon. We are now in the process of establishing what we call regional wildlife conservation education centers. We want to establish a center like Entebbe Zoo in Mbale, in Igulu, in Imbarara, and Rugombe in Chenjojo. We have already secured land, 60 acres of land in these areas. We are working with the National Forestry Authority, whom I want to thank so much. They have given us land in urban forest reserves so that together we can manage these wildlife reserves. So we are setting up zoos in these areas so that the message can be across the country. Before we establish these, we have strengthened the outreach conservation education program. We have acquired a rig van that is going to have audio-visual materials, screens, and compartments with animals. We shall put in some of our animals and go on the street and educate. We want to take the zoo to the people as opposed to them coming, so that we can have a multiplier effect for them to come and see more when they come to the center. So that is central in our plans. Establish centers across the country. We also plan to make the roads in the zoo all weather by making sure there is mobility, whether during the dry season or wet season. We want to pave the roads within the zoo so that we can become modern, so that the golf carts can be able to be mobile within the zoo, and that is critical. We are also trying to develop the skilling. We are working with the Directorate of Industrial Training to establish what we call a zoo keeper management and veterinary course, which is going to be a practical course where we develop animal zookeepers, especially for the many Ugandans who are not employed, young people. There is a lot of demand for animal zookeepers in the Arab world, in America, in Europe, and we want to establish this course that can be certified and somebody can get a job in the United Arab Emirates, in America, in Europe, because we want to contribute to the skilling and therefore employment of our young people, because that's one of the greatest problems we have, unemployment in this country. So we think that once we do that, then we can have a very good market, because it is there already. They have been contacting us. So that's one of the prospects that we also do have, and we think that is going to contribute to the development of our country. We are also going to improve the diversification of the products and services we are offering. We are bringing in new animals at the zoo.
For
we
example?
are bringing in wild dogs. Yeah, I don't know that you have had a chance to look at wild dogs. We are bringing in wild dogs. We are bringing in kangaroos. We want to bring in jaguars. And we are
Is there criteria for these, or this is just to expand?
To expand, both at Entebbe, where we still have some land and carrying capacity, but also in the regions that I've talked about.
Yes.
Because, like I said, you must diversify your products for people to find something new, for you to create repeat visits, but also to create an experience. And knowledge and awareness. You can imagine how grateful and happy Ugandans are seeing tigers. The other day I was chatting with someone, and he told me he had never seen, tigers, because he has been seeing them in movies, and now they are here being seen physically, and that's great. We also have over 200 species of medicinal plants at the zoo, and we are growing our horticulture and plant segment so that we can be able to grow that area, research in herbal medicine, working with the researchers in that area. That is critical, because when we talk about wildlife, Sharon, we mean both plants and animals. We have also strengthened the naming of the trees that we have within the center, so that it can act as an education tool to the visitors that come to the center. So come 25th November, we would like to welcome Ugandans to come and visit, and non-Ugandans, and learn more about this illustrious journey, but also see how they can contribute to the growth of tourism in the country, therefore the economy, but also conservation in the country, and most importantly, what you can do in terms of positive self-conservation action. We would like every Ugandan, every person who lives in this country, to do something about the environment, to do something about biodiversity conservation, to do something about wildlife conservation. And let's not look so big. If you pick a cavera in your surrounding, if you stop throwing rubbish in the car as you are on the road, if you plant a tree during your marriage ceremony anniversary, if you plant a tree during your birthday, this will be a great contribution to your country, as opposed to thinking that this is government business. So we are here to rally support from Ugandans, and that's part and parcel of our education program that we do take to schools, communities, as well as at the center in Entebbe, and we are going to take to the various regions of the country as we establish the various centers.
Thank you so much, Dr. James Musinguzi. People can get these details on your website, right?
Yes.
Yes. Is there? You also have social media?
Yes, we are on social, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. We are on all social media platforms.
Yes.
And Instagram as well. So, and our website is very, very active. I invite you to visit our website, visit our social media handles and social media platforms, for you to be able to abreast yourself with all that I'm talking about. If you would like to do research with us, contact us. If you want to do internship, industrial training, come so that we can work together to promote our country.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think one of the greatest messages is that change starts with every individual.
Yes.
And for us to have to conserve, for us to understand the importance of whatever we've had, we shouldn't wait for it to go away.
Yes.
So it starts with you. And thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Uganda Extra. Your work is celebrating 70 years on the 2nd of December 2022, but they have so many activities that are going to take place before the dinner, the dinner gala. Yes. Check out the website, apply for the opportunities, get to know about your country and what we have in store for you as well, to grow your mind and to understand that Uganda is actually blessed, and it is indeed the Pearl of Africa. Good morning. My name is Sharon Chomtisha.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land,